everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Huck. Today we are doing my November and December book haul. I have, I think, 14 books to talk about today, so let's get into it. I have some new books that I'm very excited about. We'll start with some new releases. One that I recently got was Summer Suns by Lee Mendello, and I have already read this and it was in my November wrap-up, so I'll link that if you want to check that out. But this is a contemporary paranormal Southern Gothic new adult, what other words can I use to describe this? But in this we were following our main character Andrew, who at the beginning of his book, his best friend Eddie has just died, and they say that it was a suicide, but Andrew doesn't believe that it was a suicide. He thinks that somebody killed Eddie or something maybe paranormal happened, because both Andrew and Eddie can see dead people. They don't exactly see ghosts, they see like revenants, so they see like half-rotted corpses and skeletons, kind of. And so he is trying to solve his friend's death while also grieving, being haunted by revenants, and also reflecting on his relationship with Eddie and realizing that it was kind of a toxic relationship and that it was maybe more complicated and had more layers to it than he really realized before. And Andrew like learning things about himself. But yeah, so I already read this, as I said. It was in that wrap up. I will link it below. All right, then other books that I recently got. So there are actually two books that my mom gave me for Hannukah. So the first one is The Boneshard Emperor by Andrea Stewart. This is the second book to the Boneshard daughter, which I think the series is called The Drowning Empire. And this book is blue, so my camera's freaking out. It always like makes everything super yellow if I hold up a blue book. But yeah, so the Boneshard daughter follows multiple perspectives, but the main perspective that we're following is Lynn, who is the daughter of the Emperor. And the Emperor uses Boneshard magic, which drains magic, or drains like life from the person that a bone shard came from, in order to magically power these constructs that the Emperor creates, which are pretty much just like cobbled together bodies from different animals. And so we're following Lynn, who a few years ago had gotten a mysterious illness that made her lose her memory, and now the Emperor is refusing to teach her the bone shard magic and will not accept her as an heir until she regains her memories. So she's trying to figure out how to regain her memory. She's trying to learn the bone shard magic on her own, and also discovering some secrets along the way. And then we're following other characters as well. But I really enjoyed the first book. I think I also read that last month, so that will also be in the November wrap-up if you want to see some brief thoughts on the first book. But I will have a full review for that book coming soon. But yeah, so I got the second book, which is very exciting, but I'm not going to hold it up so it doesn't mess up the color in my video. All right, and then the other book that my mom got for me was Lore Olympus, Volume 1 by Rachel Smythe. So this is a very popular webcomic that is like a Hades and Persephone retelling, and I have read most of it on, is it Webtoons where you can read? I read most of it like online, but they just published a good like chunk of it. I think they're going to have this is episodes 1 through 25 of the webtoon comic Lore Olympus. Okay, so there's going to be a volume 2 coming out I think next year, but I'm just very excited to have like a physical copy of the comic because I did really enjoy it. But yeah, so I got this as well, and this is also a new release. All right, then since actually we're talking about gifts, I have two books that Kara sent me, which are The first one is Furthermore by Tahereh Mafi, which is a I've heard it's a very whimsical middle grade, which I have been wanting to try Tahereh Mafi for a long time, so I'm excited to read this. And then the other book that she sent me was Summers at Castle Auburn by Sharon Shin, and this is another one that I've been meaning to read for a really long time, because it's one of those books that is often recommended, like, for if you like the Seven Water series, then you might also like this. And Sharon Shin is also an author that I think I may have read one of her books a very long time ago, but I don't really remember, so I would really like to try more from her, because I have just kind of, I've been interested in her books for a while, so I'm very excited to get to this one too, so thank you for these. Then on to some books that I got for myself. One of the books that I recently got was The Fourth Island by Sarah Tolmie. This is a little novella that I'm actually currently reading and liking so far, which is about a fourth Aran island that is this like lost magical island that you can only find if you have experienced like a traumatic emotional event. And we're following two characters from one of the neighboring islands who find themselves on this fourth lost island. Yeah, and it is described as being very like dark and beautifully written, which really appealed to me. So I've been meaning to read this for a really long time, but finally decided to pick it up because I know that this author has another book, another novella, I think, coming out early next year, and I wanted to see what I think of her writing and find out, like, should I be excited about that new release? But so far I'm liking this, so I think I am going to be excited about that one. Then another book that I picked up was Highland Blood by Melanie Karsak. This is the second book in, I don't remember what the series is called. The first one was called Highland Raven, but it is, I think, a self-published series that is a Scottish historical fantasy where we are following Gruach, who I think, if I remember this correctly, because it's been a while since I read the first book, I think that it is a retelling, or it is about Lady Macbeth and her like childhood and backstory before the events of Macbeth and before she becomes Lady Macbeth. So the first book, there were some things that like weren't perfect about it, but I remember liking it and thinking like, oh, I should read the second one, and then I never got around to it, so I finally picked up the second book, so I'm hopefully going to be getting to this soon. Then I have a whole series, which is very exciting, which is The Fitz and the Fool trilogy by Robin Hobb. So that consists of Fool's Assassin, Fool's Quest, and Fool's Fate, which is absolutely beautiful. This is definitely like the prettiest book in the whole realm of the Elderlings. But yeah, so this is the final trilogy in the realm of the Elderlings, which is very exciting. And after I finish the Rainwild Chronicles, I will be moving on to this series, so I thought it would be good to pick this up now. But yeah, and in this one I think we are back to following Fitz and the Fool, as you would assume from a trilogy called the Fitz and the Fool trilogy. I really don't know what is going to happen in this series, because things ended, I think, fairly conclusively. Did that sentence make sense? We'll say it did. But things ended pretty conclusively at the end of the Tawny Man trilogy, but I'm excited to see where this one goes. Then I have Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, which is another one that I have been meaning to pick up for a really long time, and then I just like finally did, partially because I know the second book is coming out next year, and so I want to get to this one pretty early on in the year so that I can like be prepared for the second book to come out. But this is a fantasy that is inspired by the civilizations of pre-Columbian Americas. And it says, woven into a tale of celestial prophecies, forbidden magic, and crafted with unforgettable characters, which all sounds amazing. And I have really enjoyed the Sixth World series by Rebecca Roanhorse, which is more that one's more like post-apocalyptic urban fantasy kind of. So this seems like it's going to be a very different vibe, but I know that I like her writing, and so I'm very excited to like get into this. Also, this one has an amazing cover too. I always love this cover. All right, and then the last fiction book that I have is The Lions of Al-Rasan by Guy Gavriel Kay. And this I picked up because in the Genre Raiders book club, which I participated in very sporadically, they read this a couple months ago. I think this may have been the October pick, but a lot of people were really loving it and raving about it. And that just got me really excited about it, and I really wanted to try it. I do already own a book that I haven't read yet by Guy Gavriel Kay, which is Tigana. But since getting that book, I have heard from some people that Tigana may not actually be the best place to start with Guy Gavriel Kay's books, and that this would actually be a good place to start with his stuff. So even though I already have one of his books, I decided to pick this one up, and I was able to get this used edition, so it was pretty cheap, and it has like, I love this cover. This is way better than like the reprints of like later editions that are very boring. Like this is a great cover. All right, so that is the last of my fiction books that I got, and then I have one poetry and one nonfiction. So the one poetry book that I have is Pilgrim by David White, which I've talked about him a couple of times. David White is a poet that I really enjoy, so I wanted to pick this one up as well. And then I also got Thrive, The Facilitator's Guide to Radically Inclusive Meetings by Dr. Mark Smutny. And this is one that was recommended to me by somebody at work about meeting facilitation, which is something that we do a lot, and I really want to specifically work on and improve my facilitation skills. I enjoy facilitation, but I want to like become even better at it. So I'm excited about this one. All right, so those are all of the books that I got recently. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, bye.